Good evening and welcome to the Monday, March 2nd meeting of the North Andover Select Board. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. and ask for you to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to head into public comment. Per the Select Board policy, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between citizens and the Select Board. It is a citizen's opportunity to express his or her opinion on issues of town business. The board may respond to a public comment by taking it under consideration when deliberating on an agenda item or referring the item to the administration for appropriate action or response. Public comment shall be for a period of up to 15 minutes, with speakers being allowed 3 minutes to present their material. Is anybody here for public comment?
I am.
Okay.
Good evening. I was here a couple weeks ago. My name is John Waters. I'm a North Andover resident, lived on 21252 Turnpike Street. I see on the agenda tonight you have the town manager's proposed budget, and within that budget is the capital improvement program and capital expenditures. In particular, what I'm interested in commenting on is the needed investment in our fire department. There's a $7.5 million line item, which I think is a good thing. I think I just have a lot of questions about the process that's happened so far and the lack, and I emphasize again, the lack of public outreach associated with this. Every capital improvement program that we've done in the community for the 25 years I've lived here has had more robust outreach for this. When we did the school buildings, we've had committees associated with it. We've had public hearings for downtown improvement plans. We've had websites that work. There was links posted to the website today with dead links to go to the facilities master plan page. There's no information available there. I tried it on different devices as well as my phone and computer. So I'm just very politely saying we need to very slow down just a little bit to understand what the proper investment is for the fire station and just have a public process. I've had very brief outreaches to some people, and there's a lot of concerns that, like, hey, I'd really like the fire station to have better access to out country. Currently at Turnpike and Berry doesn't have good access because of the road system. You'd have to look on a map to understand what I'm saying. So I think it's a good idea. I just really think there needs to be a better public outreach before this gets buried on agenda item 7 at the town meeting warrant, and there's no conversation after that. Let's invest in our firefighters. We need to, and let's invest in them in the proper way to help the community. So that's really kind of the biggest thing. There's been almost no public outreach to this other than me finding it buried in the Eagle Tribune article. So thank you for posting it out so I could find out about this. But when I've told people in town, they're like, I knew nothing about this. I even went to the finance committee and they're like, oh yeah, I think I heard something about that. It needs to be more robust. We need to help the people in out country in this community. We need to support the firefighters, and pushing it through without public outreach, I think, is really doing a disservice to the thousands of people in this community. Last thing I'll say is on a different note here, I'd like to send out congratulations to the North Andover High School Drama Guild. They had a competition this past weekend in Saugus where they had the Drama Fest competition, compete against 7 other towns. Kicked ass, and they are moving on to the next round there. Those kids put an incredible amount of work on it that I've seen up front, so I think the town should all support and help the Drama Guild move on 2 weeks from now when they have the next competition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment tonight? Come on up. Just let us know who you are and we'll hear from you.
My name is Audrey Elliott, 61 Fox Hill Road. I don't do public speaking. This is very uncomfortable, but it's an important issue. The elephant in the room is the town's position on the firefighter Justin O'Lean. I know numerous people have been contacted. I know there's been crickets from the town, from the police, from the fire. And to be in a position where you face the public, where you deal with the public on a daily basis, I'm not comfortable with him coming to my house in an emergency. He's on video breaking into a former officer's home with the permission, essentially, of the police, because he told them, I'm on the deed. There was no check. There was nothing. Now, I mean, if I was to call and say, oh, well, I'm on the deed of my neighbor's house, I'm just going in. I have their blessing. I'm not sure how that process goes, but somebody needs to say something. Someone needs to do something. And essentially, that's it.
Thank
Thank you.
Is there any other public comments tonight? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to our new business. Our first item of new business is a request of the North Andover Housing Authority for a letter of support for the Housing Authority to convert federal public housing portfolio from public housing to a project-based voucher program. Maggie Cleary is here to give us an explanation of what she's working on over there.
Yes, I'm Maggie Cleary. I'm the director of the Housing Authority. So essentially, we are looking to reposition our federal public housing portfolio, which consists of McCabe Court, 45 units, and Murkowski Meadows, 60 units, from the public housing program to a project-based voucher program. This is something through something called, sorry, a little nervous, the rental assistance demonstration. And it would ensure the property remains permanently affordable and residents will continue to benefit from the same rights and protections they had under the public housing program. The benefit for HUD, they're really encouraging housing authorities to take this step, and the benefit from HUD is that it's going to reduce their administrative burden of regulating the public housing program, eliminating a lot of reporting on operating and capital funds. And there's actually an expectation that this will become mandatory for all small housing authorities across the country within the next 10 years. The benefits for the housing authority are twofold. We will receive more funds, and we'll also have more flexibility on the way we spend the funds. Right now, our funds from HUD are every dollar is earmarked, and we can only spend we have to have a 5-year capital plan. You can only spend capital funds on items that are on the plan. So if something comes up, you either have to have an emergency meeting to reevaluate the plan, or you have to use money from your revolving funds. And so we'll have more flexibility on how we can spend that money. In the long term, we could use them to achieve more local affordable housing goals and also enhance the quality of living for our current residents. It also will offer more flexibility to our current residents, because if they so choose, they can apply for a housing choice voucher to go anywhere in the country. So if they said, you know what, I don't really like living at McCabe anymore, I want to go try to live down near my daughter in another town, they could request a voucher and leave, and then the project-based assistance would stay at McCabe, though, so the next person who moves in would benefit from it. During this conversion, no resident would be displaced involuntarily. They would have the same exact lease that they currently have. Most residents won't see any type of a rent increase. Residents in federal public housing or on the Section 8 project-based voucher program pay 30% of their monthly income in rent. And let's see. So the benefits for the housing authority, there's a lot of things that like residents want us to do, and we say, we can't do that. Like even just aesthetic upgrades. So that'll give us a little more flexibility for things like that. Right now, we get funded about, let's say our average rent is $400 a month for residents. So residents would continue to pay the same amount of rent. It would just be, instead of right now, like we'll say we get $918 on average per unit per month. So that's $400 of rent, $292 in operating funds, and $226 a month in capital funds. If we convert to a project-based housing voucher, tenants would continue paying $400 in rent, and we would receive a $1,330 housing assistant payment. And if we apply for the small area FMR, which is an exception payment standard, right now we're in the Lawrence, Southern New Hampshire metro region. And we did, for our housing choice vouchers, apply for a small area FMR, which grants zip code 01845 higher rents. So our residents are able to stay here, basically. We could be making up to $2,000 per unit per month. This could equal, at a minimum, an increase of $1 million a year for the housing authority. If we went up to the small area FMR, it would be 1.7 million per year increase. And this would be unrestricted program income that we could spend on anything. We could, right now, anything that's related to McCabe Court or McKeskey Meadows, we cannot spend a dime of that at Fountain Drive or Bingham Way or any of the state projects. This way, we would be able to spend that money however we want, basically. For example, $500,000 could support $6.5 million in debt that could be used to expand housing in North Andover. The way that this would work does require some organizational restructuring. We have established a nonprofit 501c3, North Andover Affordable Housing Corporation. They would have a subsidiary, North Andover Affordable Housing Corporation Holdings LLC. We would transfer the ownership of McKeskey Meadows and McCabe Court to this LLC via a ground lease. So in practice, nothing would change for any of the residents, nothing would change for the staff, but on paper, the holding company would be the landlord. And that's basically because we can't pay ourselves. We can't be the landlord and the Section 8 project-based voucher administrator. So it's kind of like doing what big corporations are doing, except, at the housing authority level. I was saying to Janice, I could go on and on about this for probably an hour, but I'm trying to just kind of give you guys the quick facts on it. We've been working on this for a while. In fall 2024, we engaged a consultant, Recap Advisors, and Klein Hornig LLP as our attorneys to guide the conversion. We have held multiple meetings with residents at McCabe Court and McKeskey Meadows to walk them through the process, assure them nothing is going to change as far as their lease is going to go. No one is at risk of losing their housing. They would still have the same protections that they have right now. In March 2025, we submitted our application, which was approved in June 2025 to join the program. We have done we hired Dominion Due Diligence Group, who conducted a rental assistance demonstration physical needs assessment. Through this, they identified critical repairs and facility useful life expectancy schedule. They want to make sure that all of our finances are in order and we know how much we have the operating reserves to cover any incidents that might come up. For example, they recommend that we replace the elevator at McKeskey Meadows in 2040. So we want to make sure that we are getting quotes for that. We know what the prices are, and we have that in our operating funds. They also conducted an environmental review, which included asbestos testing and radon testing in every unit, which thankfully was not an issue. And then we most recently met with residents again in December 2025. A lot of housing authorities in Massachusetts have already taken these steps. Belmont, Brookline, Concord, Danvers, Dedham, Lexington, Needham, Newburyport, and everything's gone great for them so far. So we're not we wouldn't be the test subjects, basically. And so one of the final steps is that we secure the support of the town in pursuing this conversion. Then our board, once the town has the support, the board would make its final vote. We would submit our financing plan and all of the information that I just discussed, the useful life expectancy for our properties and our different facilities, and our financing plan to show that we have all of that in order. And then HUD would approve it. So ideally, we're hoping to get that going in June and then convert by September 1st. So that's really our schedule right now. I'm happy to go into detail on any of those points or field any questions. It is a lot of information. I wouldn't be pursuing this if I didn't think it was best for the Housing Authority. I do think it's a great opportunity for the Housing Authority to earn more money and have more flexibility on how it spends these funds and, continue to help the affordable housing goals of North Andover.
Could you tell me again what facilities that you're looking at?
Yep, it's McCabe Court and McKeskey Meadows. So McKeskey is the 60 units by the office, and then the 45 at McCabe Court off of Belmont Street.
Okay.
So those are our HUD-funded properties, so they would just be converting from public housing to project-based Section 8. So it really wouldn't affect the residents on a day-to-day, but it's a lot of different names, basically. It'd be switching the type of funding we receive from the federal government.
Is there a downside that you see? I mean, especially if we're
Well,
expecting more money from the federal government.
So the downside would be probably emergency funds. If this is what, like, I know, for example, Dedham Housing Authority, when they did their needs assessment and environmental review, they found an underground oil tank that they didn't realize was there. So that was like, okay, we need to get rid of this ahead of time because we don't want to have to pay for this. We want to be able to pay for this while we're still part of the public housing program and we can apply for emergency funds. So that's partly why you do the needs assessment ahead of time. Like if the radon testing had come back positive, that would have been something that we would have said, okay, hey, pump the brakes. We need to figure this out before we transition our program.
But you guys came through that with flying colors, it sounds like, so.
We did. We were very happy about that. I know, we were happy about it. We were happy for the residents because nobody ever wants to hear radon testing. Why are you all of a sudden doing radon testing? But we assured them, it was part of the process and nothing triggered it. No warnings or alerts triggered it. There's a lot of changes in the federal government right now. Our housing choice voucher, which is more the common Section 8 that people know about, where you rent from a private landlord. That program, we've heard there's going to be a lot of funding cuts, things like that. But all the notices we receive for HUD say this does not apply for housing authorities that are repositioning their program because this is something that HUD wants. And because, like I said, partly it's going to lower the administrative burden. And on a small scale, it might not seem like that much, but when you think of it across the whole country, it adds up, yeah.
Has there historically been a mechanism for the amount of funding we receive to increase over time? Like, are we gonna go into this program and it's gonna stay stagnant for the next 20 years, or does it increase?
Well, I hope it doesn't.
I don't.
But it would be. It's based on the rents.
Every time
yes,
they
the fair market
reassess
rents and
okay.
the tenants' rents will continue to be based on 30% of their monthly income.
But
so
how much
and
you
then
receive.
yes, and so then we would set the rent, the total contract rent, and so like let's say I always use 1,000 because it's the easiest. But if the contract rent was 1,000 and a tenant was paying 400, then we would get the housing assistant payment of 600. Maybe if the rent was at 2,000, then we would be getting 1,600, and the tenant would still pay 400.
And we will get that amount,
yes.
No matter, and the rents are set based on
yes.
whatever.
And the difference would be sometimes we would stagnate, like we would keep the contract rent the same and maybe not increase it. I mean, we're not looking to gouge ourselves, basically.
Absolutely not.
So we would probably, any rent increases for the contract rent would be gradual and based on the HUD approved fair market rent schedule.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
First of all, your reputation precedes you up there.
Oh,
you bring a ton of credibility to this,
well,
please.
thank you. I appreciate that.
I
very
really
much.
appreciate that, and you saying you support this, certainly goes a long way with me. My question was similar to Janice's. I think sounds great. What would potential downsides? Is there any potential downside for residents, and are there any costs to making the conversion?
So costs for the conversion are legal fees and the fees of the consultant. We've already paid for the needs assessment and the environmental review. We have a very healthy reserve on the federal side right now, which sometimes can be frustrating because on the state side, we're like, I wish we could just use federal money over here. Like we have 150% of what we're required to have on the federal side, and on the state side, it is not the same as that, but you can't so that's one of like the big perks that we are hoping that this conversion won't just benefit the residents at McCabe Court and McCuskey Meadows. It'll actually benefit all of our complexes.
Excellent.
Downsides, like I said, one of them would be if we ran into an emergency situation, we couldn't apply for public housing emergency funds. And that's why the application process is so strenuous, that we have to submit a financing plan that shows how much money we do have on hand, how much money we have in CDs or bank accounts that we could access if we need to, and they would look at the projected rent schedule.
Housing trust.
Yeah. And
I know the funds are unrestricted, which is, that sounds fantastic, right? Gives you
Right.
ultimate discretion. Does it put any other kind of operating handcuffs on you as an entity by switching to this that you're aware
Any
of?
different than you already have?
no,
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm
right
wondering
now
is-
we have a lot of handcuffs on us as far as spending, and our audit this year alone for the housing authority cost $26,000, and it's like we are required to do one every year, and that cost hopefully will decrease because it'll be a voucher program instead of the public housing program. Right now, we're not seeing any. I've seen other housing authorities have hired more maintenance employees, started doing more physical upgrades to their public housing portfolio, or their project-based portfolio on the federal side. And then also, like we said, we could invest in potentially more affordable housing and.
And that's what I found, having that extra capital to be able to leverage to create more units is what I think is
Yeah,
incredibly
I mean, I
appealing
can't
here.
even imagine having, in 10 years, thinking that we would have over $10 million more than we would if we
No.
didn't convert. And the other housing authorities that have, and I didn't even include Boston on here, they've already done a ton of this. Cambridge has already closed out their entire program by converting over to this from public housing to project-based Section 8. For the residents, we do have a handful of residents who pay the flat rent on the federal side, which is $875, which is well below market rate. So out of the 105 households, I would say maybe 12 around there pay that flat rent. So they will see their rent increase
see an
to the 30% of the income. All of our current residents are still within the affordable threshold, the low-income housing threshold, so nobody would be at any type of risk to lose their housing. And that increase would be phased in over 5 years.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be like, hey, next month your rent's going from $875 to $1,300 or
So that's
something
the
like that.
potential downside to some residents. I don't want to minimize it, but that is.
Yes, that is
some
the
trade-off
potential
here.
downside for some residents, which we did let them know about at our meetings. Especially like I said, it's a small program, so we know, we have a report that tells us exactly who these people are. So we did reach out and let them know, you are one of the people who will see a rent increase from this. And most of them were like, oh, I've been paying $875, I get it. So.
Okay. That's all my questions.
I just have I guess, clarification
sure.
question. So the public housing that we're currently under, is that the 292, is that coming from federal funds?
What do you mean the
Your-
292?
Your
Sorry.
bar chart.
The operating
Oh,
subsidy?
yeah, so
Yeah.
that is, the 292 is operating subsidy. So from HUD, from federal government.
From federal,
So
okay.
right now, the way it works is we have 3 sources of income on the federal side. We have the tenant rent,
Yeah.
the operating subsidy, which is like what we use to pay staff, what we use to pay the utilities, office costs, all of the rents, all of the tenants, we pay all the utilities, so we pay that, we pay the office staff, we pay the maintenance staff, any of the day-to-day upkeep, snow removal, plowing, stuff like that, that's all operating costs. And then we have a separate pool of money, which is capital funds, and those are, like, we got it, like a new roof at Murkowski Meadows, or a paving project, or things like that.
But that's all federal money coming
That's
in.
all federal money.
And then when you convert to the next bar,
Yes.
that 1330 is still federal money.
It's still federal money. It would just be in the form of a housing assistant payment. So since it would be exiting public housing and switching to the project-based voucher, that would be, we'd set the rent, if we set the rent at $1,730, that would be the federal government's portion of the rent that they would be paying us.
I guess I'm just confused as why, if they're 2 federal programs, why it's so different. All of this is great. I don't
No, it's okay. It's a lot. Like I said, I could talk about it for an hour or more. Well, this would be unrestricted income, first of all.
Okay.
So that's the benefit for us, is we can spend it
Of
on
course,
anything.
yeah.
But
that's a big increase of like federal funding that you're getting. Yeah.
right. So that's why they're encouraging us to do it, because they're saying in the long run it's gonna lower HUD's administrative burden of managing the program. Right now we do a lot of reporting.
Because you're so restricted.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. We do a ton of reporting each year. We have inspectors come out from HUD. That is, they contract like a separate thing. We do reporting, we do inspections.
Just kind of gives you more autonomy.
It does
sounds
give
like.
more autonomy. So they're
Passing
kind of
the
saying
same
like,
law.
hey, we're gonna take
I
this
know.
off of our
unheard of.
plate and we'll give you more money because in the long run it's gonna save us
And
money.
they don't wanna know where every cent is
Nitty-gritty.
being spent.
Yes,
essentially.
and like I was saying with the capital funds, if we had something come up that wasn't on our 5-year plan, we would have to hold a meeting, we would have to submit the report to HUD, probably 3 or 4 people would review it, they would say, have you done an environmental review on it? What are the Davis-Bacon wage laws that you're gonna be doing with this? So, yeah, it makes it easier for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a good question because it makes you say, why would HUD wanna do this? But I think looking at it on North Andover, it's a good question, but when you think about the whole entire country and them trying to get these, and they're only encouraging small housing authorities or small complexes. Like I said, Boston did it, but they do it complex by
The
complex.
complex.
A little bit at a
Yeah.
time,
And then I assume you'll still have to report. But
We
it's
definitely
more
will
like
still-
a
yeah.
yearly thing or?
Yes, we'll still have an audit, but the audit will be less extensive.
Yeah.
We'll still do monthly reporting, but it's a lot.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was just curiosity.
Mhm, yeah.
Because it's such a big increase, it's interesting that they're pushing you that way.
Yes.
But good for us.
Yeah.
Or good for you.
All right. Any other comments? If not, I'll take a motion.
We're voting to approve.
Move the select board, a letter of support.
Oh, yeah.
Move
Go.
that the select board provide a letter of support to the North Andover Housing Authority for the conversion of their federal public housing portfolio to a project-based voucher program.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a couple of seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Maggie.
much, and thank you for all of your hard work. Okay, item B, the opioid settlement funding recommendations. So I'm gonna pass it over to Andrew Shapiro and Jess Pfefferman, who came to see us a while back, right? Yes. Yes.
Okay, Andrew Shapiro, Assistant Town Manager, Director of Community and Economic Development for the record. I'm going to be extremely brief in just saying that I've had the pleasure of working with our consultant, Jess Pfefferman of Jess Pfefferman Consulting, on this project. She's going to go through some slides with you about the process we've undertaken with respect to looking at how we can potentially utilize our opioid settlement funding, which is a project I took over from Dee when she left. So I've been privileged enough to work with Jess, as well as I see Michelle O'Leary's here, Director of Social and Emotional Learning for the North Andover Public Schools, as well as Cheryl Barzak from the Public Schools, Chuck Gray, Police Chief, and Crystal Clooney. Oh my goodness, I missed almost one of the most important people on this. And I've been really privileged to work with that whole team. They've been great to work with, including with Jess. So without further ado, I'll let her cover her findings and recommendations.
Thank you so much. And just to echo that, it has been a fabulous team. Thank you for being here, Michelle. On a weekly basis, I get all of them together. They bring different perspectives, so I really appreciate that. Quickly, just in terms of my background, I know I shared this last time, so I have a background in public health and management consulting. I've done work on the managed care side of things, but more recently I've done different work with municipalities focusing on their opioid settlement money. I'm a longtime Winchester resident and community volunteer. I was on the Board of Health for over 10 years, so got to learn about the inner workings of the town, and also a very active member of the Coalition for a Safer Community, which does a lot of work with substance abuse. So for tonight, we are just going to go over these 4 items: background, recommendations, and oversight structure and next steps. There is an appendix that has lots of detail, which again, I'm not going to go into so much detail tonight, but if you have any questions tonight or after, I am available. So in terms of the funding, North Andover is projected to be able to spend on average, starting in 2028, and I want to clarify that, $90,000 annually. So that's between 2028 and 2039. I caveat that because there was more money that came in initially, so you'll see in the earlier years, and what we project for 2027 will be a little higher than that number. For people who aren't aware of why the town's receiving this money, it's based on a settlement that through the Attorney General, and the state is getting 60% of the money, and 40% of the money they're distributing to different municipalities to be able to use for prevention, treatment, and recovery programs. One of the things that the state has encouraged communities to do is to conduct a community needs assessment, because you really want to make sure you're spending the money on the needs of your local community. So we looked at existing data, we surveyed the entire community, we did one-on-one interviews and conducted focus groups, which really gave us a lot of robust information. And with that, I'm going to share what we have found. So I'm jumping to recommendations. So again, we did a survey. There were 533 responses. One thing just to put out there is half the people who responded indicated that they had personally been impacted by opioids in some form. There was also broad agreement based on the interviews and focus group that there is substance use that exists locally in North Andover. Sometimes it's hard to, recognize or accept that, but there are definitely people who are impacted. Just to highlight, 75 people had a family member who were currently, who were in recovery for opioid use disorder. So I think that's important to recognize. 57 respondents said they had a family member die from overdose, and then 30 respondents indicated that they currently had a family member with it. So what I'm going to go over now are the 5 key areas based on all the different things we pulled together, and again, meeting weekly with the group that Andrew shared, where we landed. So direct support is really seen as something very important. This money, you want to make sure it can get in the hands of people who have been directly impacted, whether they've lost someone or they have someone in their family currently struggling. The next thing is connections to care. What I've learned through this process is there's a lot of great support opportunities within the community, but getting people to those services, especially during a crisis, is really important. So making sure that those resources can be readily available is very important. Family support as something that is often an unmet need came up not just in North Andover, but in the other 3 towns that I've worked with. People who responded directly to the survey just indicated also how, some people indicated how seen they felt by the survey being done and were really appreciative, and I think just making sure that family support is recognized is very important. Prevention education is also a big piece. Talking about the importance of education on the earlier side of things, and also really the supported non-punitive type of education and response. Again, when I was here last time, the BREATHE program was discussed, so supporting programs that are making sure that you're educating and supporting and not punishing is very important. And then the last piece is harm reduction. One of the survey questions was about medication prescription disposal. 45% of the survey respondents didn't know about the drop-offs and safe needle sharp disposal options within the town, and less than half knew how to use Narcan, so that all goes into what the actual recommendations will be. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so with the direct support, and I'm not going to go through every single bullet, but so we've come up with, and this is just a smaller piece of a much larger recommendation document that I've gone over with the team and with Andrew that has line by line items on and costs associated with different things. But being able to provide direct support for North Andover residents for opioid treatment and support as needed. One thing to note, it wouldn't be money going directly to the residents' hands. It would be residents who, either through the social worker at the police station or through other avenues in town, need help paying for treatment. the town would work with them and pay the treatment provider directly. I know that sounds complicated. It's already happening in other towns. They have an application process, and so that's something I've also shared, and it really helps people, and there's a limited time frame around it, but really helps people get off their feet who don't have the ability otherwise to get the opioid treatment that they would. Helping with short-term food assistance and transportation are also important direct support pieces. Connections to care. So a lot of towns have different substance use coordinators to help with the specific recommendations that come out of these assessments. Again, at the police station, there's already some people who are working on this, so just making sure, if funding's going towards those roles, that they are focusing on supporting people who are impacted by opioids and connecting residents to recovery supports and also recovery coaches. That's something that already is happening, where there are recovery coaches people can be referred to that are already paid for, but making sure that that's something that is elevated and shared and promoted throughout the town is very important, which goes to the next thing of just making sure that there's resources both on paper and online, local resources, meetings happening in your town, people that can be reached out to is very readily available. Care Solace, I've seen it in not just this town, but other towns. It really, if you see the numbers and the data, people are really using it, connecting, and they also have substance use specific providers. But again, just because you have it, you got to make sure that people know about it and it's really well promoted. Next is family support. So promoting, again, existing support groups. There are things within the community people may not be aware of, but then also assessing if it makes sense to launch your own North Andover family support group. That was a question that was asked as well, and people did express an interest. Another thing that we've already done is there's a book that is called The Complete Family Guide to Addiction. It's already been distributed to focus group residents, or the participants who are residents, and then also Crystal Clooney at the police station has those to pass out, and we'll make sure, I can't remember, Michelle, we got those to you already, but just make sure that people have access to them and can share, because it's a great low-cost resource that can really help people. Number 4 is the prevention education. In terms of getting people to speak to the community who have lived experience really goes far. We heard in the focus groups people who have already come to the town who have lived experience, who've really had an impact. You just want to make sure those aren't one-time events and there's something that just aren't at the school, but they're actually reaching out to the entire community, to the parents, targeting high-risk groups, going to different places, and also having smaller groups. I already mentioned it about the Breathe program. I know that the money helped to get some things off the ground, and looking at that in terms of how it can be brought into the middle school. And then the last is promoting community events that raise awareness of addiction and reduce stigma. And in terms of events like that, that kind of goes back to the connections to care. So a substance use coordinator role can really help with those types of events. The last but definitely not least, and something that the police station's already working on in terms of harm reduction, is there's already state-funded Narcan, and so just making sure that that's getting distributed throughout the community and for people who may need it most, and then also educating people about it. So even though Narcan, people knew about it in the survey, less than half knew actually how to use it, and CPR training is always great in terms of pairing those together. And then the last was increase awareness of medication drop-off and safe sharps disposals. I know that was a mouthful, so any questions on any of the specific areas or anything you want me to dive deeper in for the recommendations?
Is there anything in the works of how you're going to bring the Breathe program into the middle school, or?
So, I mean, that's outside of, in terms of this, it's just in terms of the feedback we've received about making sure that that if someone's caught using substances, that they are educated and not, suspended. That goes along well. But in terms of how much money is gonna be used for that. We have more details involved, in that. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if Andrew, you wanna speak to that?
Yeah, I'd probably defer to Michelle. I don't want to drag, her into this and put her on the spot, but we do have a set amount that the schools are utilizing right now for the Breathe program, and I think some other ancillary portions of what they're doing attached to that. So I don't know, Michelle, do you have anything to say about expanding it to the middle school?
No, it's something that we're looking at. The way the program works, we need to try to determine how.
Can you come?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you get to sit up next to me, Michelle.
So we're looking into it more. The way the Breathe program works, we have to determine whether it's going to be the right fit for the middle school because of the developmental age of kids. At the high school, this is a program that if they go in, they get the psychoeducation, and then they're back to their classes. The nervousness at the middle school level is some of those kids will just want to stay and get psychoed all day long. So we want to make sure that if we're moving forward with it, we're moving forward with it with the best intentions. We can't just mirror what the high school's doing. We need to make sure it's developmentally appropriate.
And actually, Michelle and I were talking before the meeting, there are other state programs that are for the middle school, the high school curriculum that can be used in different ways. So that's all part of when I do my project closeout, different areas and things to look into that could be part of that. Yeah.
And the health and wellness, the new standards have
They
been
do a
put
good
out
job.
through DESE, and those are all social emotional learning, responsible decision making. It's all of that. So that's all going into our middle school, our health, wellness and health
Yep.
classes.
Yeah, the education piece is so important.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, so, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle. Talk about the funding of substance use coordinator.
Yeah.
Right, so that would be presumably a permanent position. Is that the kind of thing that could be shared with other surrounding communities that may be also part of the settlement? Is it?
So it potentially could, and then, the challenge is, and one
Or is
thing
it a
you-
full-time job just here in
No,
North Andover?
it's not a full-time job,
Okay.
and it can't be something that already exists that's being paid for by the town that then you're now gonna use the money for, but if there is a role that then can focus more and the role changes, so something that may already exist, so we, again, have talked at a lower level. Yeah, like, so.
Focus on.
Exactly, so if you take a position that already exists and now have a certain percent of their role focused on something and then funding that portion of their role.
Okay, so I think you just answered what my next question was, is we can't use this to offset something else on the budget and then have those funds unrestricted elsewhere, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's very clear you can supplement, you can't supplant.
Got it, okay. Thank you.
Anything else with the recommendations?
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm not,
No, she's
sorry, I'm
not
not done, we just have in order to make this happen, we need, oversight and people to actually implement and again, I have more detailed, recommendations that are being left with the team. But right now, again, we had a weekly group meeting, but we wanna make sure that it represents more voices and people within the town. So participants are listed here, in terms of a steering group that would really help to have the oversight and managing these funds, so there's transparency, accountability, and informed decision-making. So it lists there, again, the people that would be represented, and right now we have Andrew Shapiro, who has been doing a great job learning about all this different stuff and working with this group, so he would really be the liaison with the select board to make sure that what we're hearing or what he's hearing from the opioid settlement fund group and from what we heard from this community needs assessment is then getting the funding it needs, doing the reporting for that, and then updating the select board as it makes sense. Oh, sorry, now we get the money slide, so I'll do that. So the funding I had mentioned for FY 2026 has already, was determined prior to the community needs assessment. So the things to do tonight is get your approval for the structure I just shared with you, and then also approval for, we have estimated guides for how the money would be spent in FY 2027. And again, like I said, more detailed guidance will be shared. So just really quickly to go through here. So again, direct support, and that's really making sure that people who've been directly impacted or are struggling right now, we can support them directly, and that's really, really important. Connections to care and family support, so that includes Care Solace, we had already talked about that, and funding for the police station case manager, and making sure that that portion of it is they're really focused on what's, you know, substance use and opioid related. Prevention education. In previous years, there was a significant amount of money that did go towards the School in the Breathe program, so that's not reflected here, but there's other prevention education that's important to be implemented, and then harm reduction. So in terms of things that have to do with getting Narcan out there, putting Narcan in buildings, CPR, and things like that.
I should clarify something, and I'm sorry, Jessica,
Yeah,
I didn't discuss this
please.
with you
No,
before the
it's
meeting.
fine,
So
yeah.
I don't think tonight we're gonna seek strict approval from the select board, but I think this was a good, you know, laying the foundation for understanding, you know, what we would like to do with the program going forward, and have you all both see the work that was been done, but also have an opportunity to ask Jess or myself, or now Michelle, since she's in the room, any questions about this process. But I think we probably need to, you know, take a closer look at this until we finalize what we're going to do for FY27. But, you know, just based on further discussion with the team here. But this is our general plan going forward.
And that's really it now. There is an appendix with a whole host of data and information. So again, if you have any questions now or following the meeting, you can feel free to contact me.
And I should also add, I'm going to set up a website so the public can take a look at this. That hasn't been done yet, so I'll make sure that, you know, the process that we laid out, all the public data that's available, we can put that up on the website. People can take a look at it, and yeah, get a little more
Make some
visibility.
decisions, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great work, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you guys.
Appreciate it. All right, we are going to move on to item C, which is the request of the North Andover Youth Baseball to use Water, Main, Waverly, and Dana Streets for the opening day parade on May 2nd. Phew, snow will be gone by then, from 8:15 to 10 a.m., maybe. There'll be some piles. Okay. Is there anybody here to speak to that request, or is it just the usual? And okay. Yeah, same as, okay. So I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move approval.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I do miss those days. Item D, a vote to adopt the fiscal year 2027 town manager recommended budget. So we reviewed it pretty extensively, but is there a discussion or?
So next steps, Finance Committee has done their initial meeting. They have their next meeting next week when they'll do their public hearing as well. The warrant is due on the 9th, so we'll then start our kind of public participation portion of our town meeting, hearing all of the articles, presentations on them all. I do anticipate that both the Kittredge School as well as Fire Station 2 will be their own articles at town meeting due to the debt, so you will hear those separately as well.
Station 2 or 3?
Fire Station 3, sorry. So you will hear those all as well, although you will also get update on Fire Station 2, so it will all be
It's all
circled
gonna
in.
be in there.
Right, we're still renovating too.
We're still renovating too. And then, again, this is a difficult budget season for us. I felt sad when I gave the presentation to FinCom, because I'm like, I really don't have anything to say. But I am going to ask the superintendent to come to see you during the warrant process, because I think it would be good for you to hear the school's budget as well, because I don't think that you've really heard that.
Okay.
Agreed. Question on Station 3.
Sure.
And the process, right? So let's assume the article passes as part of the CIP. What would the process then be from there prior to it getting built?
We would still have to go through a full permitting process.
Okay.
So,
And do we have a schedule, anticipated schedule, that we are hoping to bring it on into service by?
There's still no design either.
The design is not finalized.
And the design is, at this point, the design is like conceptual. It's like,
We have
okay, here's how many bays we need and everything else, right? And that's,
We have a conceptual design right now,
Yeah.
working towards bid documents.
yeah.
We still would have to go through, I mean, you're talking about planning board, you still have to go through the conservation commission. There still is a lot of work to do. Laurie has taken lead on this, so she has, look at, she's already gonna repeat this. So she probably has a better idea of exact timeline, but there is quite a process that would have to happen before this would be able to be built.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the architects are working on the final design, so that we'll have all of that. What's posted on the website is, it's not gonna change drastically, but now they have to get into all the technicalities of the design to have it ready to go out to bid. If it gets approved at town meeting, we plan on going out to bid immediately. We may even go out to bid early if it's ready, subject to town meeting funding, which we've done in past projects, so that we can get started as soon as it's approved at town meeting, if it gets approved at town meeting. And then, we'll take it from there.
Would we normally do bid documents prior to having entitlements in hand?
Prior to having what?
Entitlements and permits on the
permits?
site?
Oh,
Yeah, often.
Good, okay.
Well, we have
Well,
schematic, we
No, I
have
know, but
pretty
it's-
far on Kittredge with no.
Right.
building,
Yeah,
No,
so
like-
what we always do is we do our, or what we typically do, is we do our design funds one year,
One year.
and then we do
Yes.
Yeah.
our actual construction funds the following year.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that because it gives you an idea of what it's actually going to cost. You get good cost estimates. Things
Right.
can change a lot as you're going through that process of doing that design. So yeah, typically we would have already kind of started really getting everything ready to go. We like to bid these projects kind of early on, so we know if we need to make any changes when we go through the permitting process, right? Because sometimes you'll have add-ons, sometimes you'll get to work and they'll say, this isn't realistic. And so typically we like to have it kind of already in the books.
And this was a reallocation of the initial Fire Station 2 funding to fund the design for 3, is that?
Right,
how
so
we
what
did?
I can tell you what I told Finance Committee the other day, unless you've already watched it, but there was 3 rules, right? And the 3 rules were that we had to own the land because we weren't going to pay to purchase an additional site.
Yep.
So there was a lot of work done with the planning department on what we own and what would be a usable site. 2, it had to fit into the amount of money that we had for facilities master plan for the fire station. And 3, there had to be a plan for Fire Station 2 as well, because there is real
Because there
need
are
there.
things we need.
What they've kind of came to discover as they started doing this analysis is that we were really trying to shove a lot onto the site of Fire Station 2. We were going to lose a
Pretty
lot.
small site.
Yes, we were going to lose parking. There was some discussion about closing off the street. There was concern about the memorial and the flagpole. And so it became apparent that perhaps this wasn't the best plan. And that's kind of how we ended up here. So I think the fire chief has a presentation he's getting ready to give. He also is planning on going on CAM to give that presentation. I also encourage residents to reach out to him directly and to talk about the needs and the data and the information that he has. I think that would be very helpful. I'm not an expert on fire station response, right? And so I think that hearing from him directly is going to be the best way to move forward.
I would agree with that, okay.
And will he come to us?
You will.
Okay, great.
He's going to do like a
We haven't seen him for a
whole
while.
facilities master plan.
That would be
yeah,
great.
show.
We could do Kittredge and.
Yes,
We
I
could
can't
do
wait.
both the same thing, yeah.
Who's working on, who's on this committee that's
So so.
formulating with Lori?
Yeah, we have basically a building committee.
Yep.
And so it's facilities, it's Laurie, it's the fire chief, it's members of the fire department.
Okay.
Missing anybody? Our building commissioner was on it before he retired.
Retired.
He left
To
us.
retire?
We don't want to talk about it.
This is
We
all
don't want to talk
sad.
about that.
And then, of course, we have our architect that we meet with.
Right.
You missing anybody?
No. And I don't know what happened with the news brief, but the project website is working.
It is working.
It's all up there on our homepage. If you go to projects and then you click on, under Facilities Master Plan 2, you'll see the middle school, Kittredge, and Fire Station 3. Fire Station 3 is there. There's some preliminary plans and then a bunch of frequently asked questions that we'll continue to add to the questions as we get them from the public or from anyone else.
Okay.
And from a process standpoint of the design and then getting the permits, and that's in a lot of ways no different than what a commercial project would do, right? If they're coming through, they're gonna hand the designs, they need to get something
have to
permitted,
show something.
right? So,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Well, you can't apply for a permit without drawings.
Right, that's, I
Yeah.
just make sure, okay. Yeah.
And we did have a TRC meeting with the department heads, which is basically everybody gets together with the designer and the OPM and walk through what we're thinking, and that's where we got most of our information as far as, you know, what we have to worry about with conservation and setbacks and things like that. So we've already started the process with the department heads, and so they know that it's coming soon.
The only other thing I will say is that when we have a municipal building that isn't really used by the public, we don't typically create like a external building committee. We do it for schools. I anticipate that when we do the addition on the youth center, we'll have like stakeholders, like kids, and that will come in and talk to us about it. On this building, we really focused, we met with the firefighters to talk about kind of what their needs were.
So like, when we built town hall, we didn't have like a
Right.
public, okay,
Yeah.
no,
We had decorating committee.
decorating committee,
Yes.
okay.
We had a decorating committee.
Yeah, the decorating committee.
But typically not, we don't typically have a building, like when we build the police station, we don't have the public come because it's just not their expertise.
They don't wanna go to the police.
Nobody wants to go to the police station, I understand.
Was
But,
there was no committee for Fire Station 1 when that was done?
no, our DPW.
Right.
Actually, there's been some criticism, I would say, of the way that Fire Station 1, the police station, and DPW were done because there was actually not employee feedback, and they're the users. So that's something that we've really tried to move around with Facilities Master Plan 2 and make sure that the employees have a voice.
Makes sense.
Like this wasted space at DPW, you know, there's just things that don't work well. So that's been important to us.
Makes sense.
So we're kicking off the fun season of everyone learning a lot about all these projects, and I look forward to hearing more. The chief is very passionate about it. I told the FinCom the same thing. We may need a whole night just for that. But he's looking forward to coming and meeting with everybody.
Great.
And the $7 million is coming out of capital?
Yes, so it's in the capital plan.
Right.
It's
Which
a
we
bond.
already,
Which we approved as part of it, but it will be a separate article at town meeting, so you will hear it separately. Just because when we take debt, we tend to like to do them as their own article.
right, well, I guess my point was we have already approved, or sent
You've
the capital.
you've already heard the capital improvement
And
plan.
sent it to
and already-
FinCom.
Yep, pictures of it.
Okay.
I have, are we
Are
all
there-
done with Fire Station 3?
You tell me. Everybody
Okay.
good with Fire
I-
Station 3? All right. you're good.
I have
Your
one-
other questions?
I have another question. So this year, you're making about $800,000 in cuts to the town side,
So it's
or,
cuts and rejections. So there's like, so for instance, go hop on the poor fire department. The fire department had a captain in the budget last year. They lost that captain during last year's cuts, right? They tried to put it in again, and we cut it again, right? So they view that as we've cut their budget because they
Get their cap.
they had it and we just keep taking it. But so some of the things are asked and requests. Like a lot of the less than $50,000 capital has been swept out, things we usually would fund. So when you go through the spreadsheet, you can kind of see like if is it a requested amount or is it programmatic. Some of it is programmatic, like for instance, the composting program at the middle school, the money in the town clerk's office, et cetera, the money in the assessor's office. Those are programmatic. They were things that were already there that are no longer now exist.
so I guess my question is, next year, looking forward to FY '28, if we go for an override, we don't get the override, are we gonna continue to look at cuts for the town?
It will be difficult to continue to sustain our current operations if fixed costs continue to rise faster
Yeah.
than Proposition 2.5. As a community, we have been very well insulated due to Amazon. If Dennis was here, he'd yell at me. Sorry. I feel like we're constantly saying, but due to Amazon, we've been exceptionally well insulated. Other communities have already felt this burn that we're now starting to feel, right? And it's not a North Andover issue, it's an issue that the entire state is dealing with, right? So,
100%.
if fixed costs continue to increase in the way they do, and Proposition 2.5 stays at 2.5%, then yes, we're going to see our services reduced.
The math does not math.
Right, the math doesn't math, right.
Right, I mean, we're just, we're going.
28, you see that?
Yeah,
In 28.
20.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we continue down this path with increased health insurance and pensions and utilities and all that stuff? We're already, I guess this maybe is a small reduction in
Yes.
services this year, but I just see it coming.
It's like highlighting
It's highlighting where we're
something needs to
headed.
change, yeah.
Heating costs are just going through the roof because of this potential.
I think everybody is very aware right now, and there's been some solutions that have been suggested, small things like excise tax, increasing excise tax, that kind of thing. But
Please don't, I just got my excise tax.
right,
So
but
it's also not
this,
moving the needle.
it's not going to move the needle, right? And it's like these very small things, like, and this is going to sound so silly, but this year we got $20,000 due to our ride share. So basically, 20 cents on every time somebody takes an Uber or Lyft in North Andover comes back to the town. We just got a letter this week that we're no longer going to be getting that.
Ugh.
So, well, that like seems like, oh, it was only $20,000, right? We used it
it's-
actually to pay for our blinking crosswalks.
Yeah.
So it's like it just kind of hits from all ends.
Yeah.
And so the big things matter, right? Like the health insurance increase matters, the pension increase matters, the utilities increase matter. But when we're trying to do more with less all the time, and what ends up happening is we're able to do less.
Right, yeah, and services are gonna start to get cut.
Yes.
It's a lot of balls to juggle, right? Because we still have to take care of all our assets, and we still have to
Yeah.
not price
the
our
thing, yeah.
residents out of,
Well, I feel like we're just getting a handle on like all our buildings and like, routine maintenance, and
Yeah.
we can't continue to do that if we're cutting.
Yeah, I mean, I was grateful to have the extra week to kind of continue to go through this and try and just, it's obviously a tremendous amount of work went through this, and, speaking on your side of the budget here, it's restrained, it's incredibly restrained. I think it has been for the last several years. If you look at our FTEs and how they haven't expanded, right? For people who are paying attention, if you look at the full-time employees, they bumped up a little bit, but that was shared services, it was bringing trades in-house. That was a money-saving feature. It's apparent that this is not an expansion of government. We're as trim as we can be. And it is alarming as to where we're going to be headed with that in the coming years, so.
We have a lot of choices to make as a community over the next year.
Yeah. And I noticed you did include a couple of slides from the school proposal, but we should probably talk about that with Pam here, I'm guessing, is it? Yeah.
I'd like Pam to come. She is proposing approximately 10 positions. 9 of them are a return. 1 is a new position. Her proposal is to use circuit breaker to fund those for the next year, which essentially would be like a 1-year gap going towards fiscal year 28 and their request for an override. I think it's an important conversation. It won't be on the warrant, right, because we don't vote on their use of circuit breaker funds, but I think it's a really important conversation that needs to be had and to be had publicly. And they did a great job of introducing that at Finance Committee, but I think it's something that needs to continue to be talked about, because what I don't want to have happen is in 8 months from now, circuit breaker doesn't come through the way they think it's going to, or there's a surprise, right, as we're going through our next budget process, so.
Well,
Yeah, everybody needs to have eyes wide open about that.
yeah, it's a great solution, but it's a risky move.
It's a short
It's a
term.
stopgap, yeah.
It's risky, I guess I'd like to know what their plan is if those things, what's the contingency plan if those things don't come through? If the override doesn't, which is a very real possibility. They've seen so many communities where it doesn't go
We don't even know what it is yet.
Oh, we don't know
right?
what it
Yeah,
is
I
yet.
mean,
What's
I
the
think
ask? We don't know
there's,
what the ask
it's, I think it's, I think the analogy you probably use, it's like using your tax return to go lease a new car. Not only are you banking on, getting the same tax return the next year, you're banking on promotion. And, well, again, we can leave that, we're not voting on that tonight, so.
I just want people to be very aware.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to be surprised. Surprises are bad. Yes, so.
For anybody.
Yeah, we want to talk about it.
budget commentary? If not, I will take a motion.
I move that the select board adopt the fiscal year 2027 town manager recommended budget and transmit to the finance committee for review.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. It's always a labor of love to get that budget down on paper. So, we appreciate it. We are going to move on to item E, which is a request of the festival committee to host the following events, and I just love that we have them all here. I'll read them off. Sheep shearing on Sunday, May 17th from 10 to 4, with the closure of Mass Ave from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. The reading of the Declaration of Independence at the Common on Saturday, July 4th, from 11 to 12:30. The Santa Parade on Saturday, November 28th, starting at noon using Main, Elm, and Water Streets. Tree lighting on the Common Sunday, November 29th from 3:30 to 5:30. The menorah lighting on the Common Wednesday, December 2nd through Monday, December 14th, with a community celebration on Sunday, December 13th, 2026. Phew.
Chair, as president of the North Andover Historical Society, which is in a butter to 4 out of these 5 locations, I am going to recuse myself and leave the room, and please come get me when the discussion's over.
Great. Thanks, Dave. All right, so that is the basics of the festival committee. I'm sure they'll have other things that they come to us for, but I love getting all the big events on the calendar.
We were talking about tree lighting already.
We just did that.
Well, there's still snow on the ground, so why not?
Any questions or comments about it? I mean, they've done an excellent job this past year, so.
It's terrific. I appreciate the organization, the heads up, the planning,
Yeah.
all of it, so.
We appreciate this very much because it allows us to mark the dates off on the calendar so
Yeah.
we know exactly what's coming and what's needed.
And then people
so.
can see,
Plan.
which
Yep.
is great, because we always get those questions, so it's excellent. All right, I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Can we go get Dave? Yeah, thank you.
I think he's staying off of licensing.
Yeah, if you.
Oh, for the
He's a
whole,
licensing
okay,
chair.
okay. So I'll just open it, okay.
Well, we still
Well,
need to do the
we
poet
have to-
laureate,
we
so you're
do,
right.
yeah,
We can
so
bring
bring
him
him
back.
back
You're
in.
right, Andrew. You got it. Make him go up
He
and
can-
down.
I told
up
him he
and
can
down.
open
Yeah.
it and then, yeah. You're gonna get some steps
Just
in
sit-
tonight.
sit near the door.
I got my watch on, so it's good.
You're gonna get steps. All right. Our next item is item F, the recommendation from the Poet Laureate Committee to appoint Krista Lamb as Poet Laureate through June 30th, 2026.
Oh, here's our poet
I
lead.
think we have some people to speak to this, all
Yeah.
right?
Good evening. I'm
Hi.
Karen Klein. This is Mark Bohr. We're both members of the Poet Laureate Committee. And,
Karen's the chair.
well, yeah. Unfortunately, Krista could not be with us this evening. She had an emergency.
Her
Personally.
father had surgery today.
Oh,
Yes.
He's home.
that's it.
Actually, I don't know if he's home, but he's doing well. But it was just too much to come.
Yes.
Right.
No,
So she asked two
she
people.
needs to
Okay,
be
so
with
she's
her
got
dad.
two people in her place. I'd say that's some good support.
This gentleman has been our Poet Laureate
Mm-hmm.
probably for about 100 years. And he's due to retire. And Krista will be coming in. And he's been a wonderful Poet Laureate, and he's not going to leave the scene just because
No,
he's
I'm on the
out.
committee, so.
He's stuck. He's just going to be there. But Krista's been on the committee for many years also. And I definitely suggest or recommend that she be appointed the Poet Laureate because she does great work, really does great work. Not just poetry, but art. We need the art. We do.
We appreciate
So,
that, and
great.
thank you for coming in to
Yes.
express your
So,
support.
do you have anything to say about?
Well, actually, I wanted to bring one thing up. It just happens based on the cycle of, she was recommended to be appointed for the balance of the term, which ends in July. Is there a way to make a decision now to approve the next term, or do we need to bring that back?
We'll, move,
it needs to
yeah,
be on
it'll
the
come,
agenda.
it'll have to come back.
It's a
But
cycle.
Oh, it
Okay,
does?
it's okay,
Okay.
that's the way it is, okay.
thank
Okay.
you for asking, but
We tried.
it'll have to come back to us, but,
She'll get
Thank
two
you
votes of
so much.
support.
yeah.
Any questions for us?
No.
The first time I came here in 2005, the first question was, what is a poet laureate? You remember that, Rosemary?
I do.
Yes. And I think we've proved from 2005 to
Absolutely.
2026 what a poet laureate does. And we're going to continue.
And
Excellent group.
I just saw the piece about the May 2nd is the opening of the baseball. We may be there. Well, we're not sure yet. But he does football. He's been doing football, so,
I've done some football poems, so.
yes.
I would like to
That
see.
happens to be the same day on the Common at noon that we're having the Ann Bradstreet Poetry Contest Award Celebration. And the contest is open right now, so if you go to Ann Bradstreet Poetry
We
Contest.
have a wonderful lady there, over at the other table there, who is our first poet, not a victim, but a guest of our TV show. And
I
it wa-
feel like
it's
a
on the
baby.
TV now, and Channel
it's on-
22.
I
And it's
haven't
on
watched it
GovCAM,
yet, but I knew,
YouTube.
Yep, so we're gonna do that once a month.
it's great.
And it was really fun. This lady is a talented poet.
Thank you.
And I want to hear, is everybody else going to submit a poem for the Ann Bradstreet Poetry Awards contest?
That didn't sound like a question. I think we've already have
I would say maybe you should say,
got
oh,
homework.
I.
And,
Yes.
and just to let you know, I mean, if you go to the website, you'll see it. The theme this year is "An Eye for the World. What do you see?" So it just kind of opens up.
Everything.
Yeah.
And yours was wonderful. What was yours, remember? The message in a bottle.
Message in
Yep.
a bottle was mine. Yep.
She was a runner-up, and then she put that poem into another contest, and what happened?
I
She
won that
won.
contest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she won
Aha.
the contest.
Apparently, the people in those contests were not as talented as the people in North Andover, but
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for coming in. All right, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the select board appoint Krista Lamb as the poet laureate through June 30th, 2026.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Congratulations.
Very good. Thank you. All right. You want to open licensing and then?
I'm looking for a motion to move into licensing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Into licensing. We have one application today. Is anyone here from Oak and Iron Brewing, Inc.? We have a application for a special one-day wine and malt liquor license at the Town Common on Sunday, May 17th, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And because it's on the Town Common and because I'm president of the North Andover Historical Society, which is in a butter to Town Common, I am going to recuse myself.
See ya.
See ya.
Well, yeah, well, hello, and welcome, and thank you for having me back again. Yep, my name is Jim Cass. I'm the owner and master brewer at Oak and Iron. I'm also a very proud resident of North Andover for the past 10 years. And tonight, I'm here to request a one-day liquor license to sell beer at the sheep shearing event on May 17th.
Great.
Now-
And you did this last year also, didn't
I did
you?
this last
Yeah, it
year,
was
and I'm
great.
going to start with just a brief recap. I did send in a
was
presentation.
Perfect. It's great.
Oh, you have it? Oh, you're looking
Yep.
at it now? Okay, awesome. So yeah, before we get on to what's going to happen, let me just kind of give you a quick headline of what did happen. I'm going to say all the families and kids and couples that were there had fun. They were listening to music, they were eating food, enjoying a beverage, and playing games. And I'm speaking within the cordoned off beer garden. But most importantly, I think to you folks is, the security plan was executed. There was no underage serving, no over-serving, no behavioral issues. I mean, it was really just a very nice community event, and we're going to make sure that that happens again this year. If you take a look at the next page, this is the approximately location that will set up the beer garden. If this was a little bit bigger, I think I mentioned this last year, that top right-hand corner, that's my house, just about 100 yards past there. If you take a look at kind of key features and operations, so We'll set up at 10 a.m. in the morning. It'll take us about an hour. We'll serve from 11 to 4. We'll tear down at 4 o'clock, and we should be out of there by 5. Within the beer garden, everyone is welcome, but of course we'll only serve 21 plus. We'll have about 1,000 square foot space. The alcohol perimeter fence is about 4 feet high. We have an occupancy of about 100, high tops throughout. We'll have a pop-up tent at the front of it just so that we can sort of coordinate everybody getting in. The beer serving process is we'll check IDs, stamp the hand, 1 stamp, 1 beer. Server will take the order, pour the beer, handle the transaction, and then there'll be a 3 stamp maximum, so nobody can have more than 3 beverages at once, or during the whole time, I should say. The beer supply chain is we'll put the beer in my Jeep, we'll drive it up, take it out, wheel it across the grass, and we'll set up a little station. In terms of food, the food trucks are adjacent to the beer garden. Of course, food can be brought in. We'll bring bags and bins for trash, and then the town of North Andover will take the trash out. Now, what's different this year, I don't think it's on your sheet, actually it is on your sheet, I apologize, is Marble Ridge Winery will also be joining the beer garden. So it'll be a beer and wine garden this year. And these are just for position only right here between Brig and myself. We'll figure out the right place to put everything. So that's just a nice plus up, I think, for the community.
That's great, thank you.
In terms of the security plan, as mentioned earlier, we'll have an ID station, proper ID, and a right-hand stamp. And actually, the right-hand stamp is really good now that we've got 2 separate entities in there, because I don't know what his customers are buying. He doesn't know what mine are. And often, because we've done this before many times together, you know, somebody will get a glass of wine and they'll come over for a beer. So the stamp is really the one kind of control point that we all have. Server will check for the stamp, and as I mentioned, 1 stamp, 1 beer. And then controlling unruly customers, it's really unlikely at this type of an event that would happen, you know, because of the audience, the time of day, nature of the event. But all of our servers are tips trained. Myself as the owner and manager, I'll be there at the serving station. And if needed, we'll just contact the on-site police. Provisions for crowd control is we'll manage the inflow at the tent area, but there's not going to be any issues. I mean, we set it up last year. It was comfortably full, but never, you know, exploding. Emergency evacuation, just knock over the fence. It's really quite easy. And then really that's it. It was a wonderful event last year. We really enjoyed the heck out of it.
People really enjoyed having you there too. We got a lot of good feedback.
And you know, I mean, we met so many new people. I mean, it's amazing. Like, we're only in Andover. We're just like next door, yet Andover and North Andover, at least in our business, you might as well be counties away. Like, we don't get a lot of folks from North Andover that come to the brewery. Yet at this event, probably maybe 30% of our customers actually were here. And, you know, they came up and we had conversations, but we met a lot of nice new people from North Andover as well. So we look at it as like an important strategic activity, but most importantly, it's just a fun thing to do. And I think the people in North Andover enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Now we just need to pray for nice weather.
Yes, of course.
We get a little
That's
ways.
very important.
Can you help me just describe a little more the ID process between you and Marble Ridge? So there'll be one ID checker for the whole beer wine garden? Okay.
No, we both ID separately.
Got it, okay.
And you can't get a beverage without being 21 plus. And once you get it, you're stamped. So the stamp really says 2 things. A, I'm 21 plus, and B, I've had a beverage.
Got it, okay.
And that's how that's the control.
So maybe he'll have his own color stamp, you'll have your own color stamp.
Yep, exactly.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
Great.
Exactly right.
And will Brig come for his own one day?
Yep.
He does, okay.
Yep, he'll be, I thought he was coming tonight, but Dawn said, no, I think he's coming in a future one.
I think it's great.
Sounds good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super.
Oh, thank you
Excited
very
to have
much.
you.
All right, any other questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the select board, acting as licensing commissioners, approve the application from Open Iron Brewing, Inc. for a special one-day wine and malt liquor license at the Town Common on Sunday, May 17th, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to
Look
it.
forward to it.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
On that note, I'll take a motion to close the meeting of the North Andover Licensing Commission.
So moved.
Motion second.
Can we do it in unison?
All those in favor?
I was
Aye.
noticing your beverage this evening.
That's right. I didn't go diet tonight.
And now we'll let Dave
I
come back.
always
Do some stair repeats while you're up there.
Chatting away. With the former poet laureate.
Oh. All right, we are moving on to our consent items. Item A, to accept the donation in the amount of $550 to the Festival Committee for Sheep Shearing, accept a grant in the amount of $820,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for improvements to the intersection of Route 125 and Great Palm Road. It's very cool. And to accept a donation to the library in the amount of $47.95 from Sarah Dunlap. I will take a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll move the select board accept all consent items, but for item B, the thank you should go to Andrew Shapiro, not to the
Yes,
Commonwealth.
agreed.
So-
And Jimmy John, great. I think we should do it. Yes.
Maybe extra fancy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? As you can tell, we're all really excited about item B.
We usually see one that big in the consent items.
I know. And especially, I mean, it's a great project. We appreciate your advocacy to get that. So, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You can have it now. Next item is the approval of minutes. We're going to vote to approve the open session minutes of February 9th, 2026. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? Okay, I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll move that the select board approve the open session minutes of February 9th, 2026 as presented.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Select board updates.
Speaking of the Historical Society,
There we go.
March being Women's Appreciation Month? No?
Women's History Month.
We have phenomenal programming at the, all month long for women's history and appreciation. So check out the North Andover Historical Society's website and attend one of our many wonderful events.
I see your historical society and I raise you a farmer's market. This is a farmer's market. We would love more members to our committee, so feel free to reach out. We're easy to find on the North Andover Farmers Market website, and
When does that open?
we will open on Father's Day, which is what, the 17th, I think? I don't know. June, Father's Day in June is our opening day. So, and other select board updates, my now regular thank you to DPW. Because every week we have a reason to thank them for their tremendous efforts. The last one was a doozy, and they did very well. So, other updates.
But it's spring now.
Yes. It's not, Brian, it's not. It's March, so we're getting there. Other updates, I was actually also going to mention the drama festival. So, Friday the 13th, they'll be performing at the high school, and it would, they performed the show Booby Trap. It was a short show and really mind-blowing, honestly. So impressive from a bunch of kids. So, would love for the community to come out and see it.
Well, building on the Drama Guild, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Oberlander's mock trial team who
Yes.
competed on Sunday. They won their first match decisively, and they managed to lose their second match with a perfect score.
Ugh.
So there's not allowed to be a tie,
Technicality?
so
Yeah.
a judge
Somebody
had
had
to
to
make a ruling.
Ugh.
So unfortunately, their season came to an end, but that's a remarkable program. The kids had a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. All right, other updates.
I have some very exciting news
should
from
let
the
Laura go
Kittredge
first.
School Building Committee. MSBA has accepted Kittredge, the project, to replace our existing building with a new building. So we have a total budget of $79.8 million, and that reimbursement share from MSBA will be 36.6%. So it's very important that everybody comes out for town meeting to approve that debt that we need to take on at no additional impact to our taxpayers. So May 12th, town meeting. And then from June 2026 to June 2027, they'll do design development, construction docs, get that
all ready and squared away, and then shovels in the ground September 2027, and hopefully an opening of August 2029.
It's exciting.
Which
That's
is so awesome. It will serve grades 1 through 5, 335 students. There'll be art room, a music room, actual library, a gymnasium, a cafeteria.
Yeah, so they're gonna get both.
They'll get both
Very
now,
exciting.
Instead of putting them all in
Yeah,
the
there's a shared,
cafeteria.
there's a shared
gymatorium.
stage between the CAF and the gym, so we can have larger events. Did I say music room, maker space? Yes, and we're gonna have a tri-board community meeting, so it'll be us and FinCom and school committee, and we'll get the presentation of the full project, and it will be a community meeting for people to get all the information and ask questions. March 30th at 7 p.m. It's like 1939. It was built, yeah. Yep. Bumping up on 100 years, yeah.
You couldn't stretch it to all the way
I
to
know,
100?
right? Oh, and this building will be ADA compliant, and it will be energy efficient, and very exciting to have, we'll have geothermal, which will be pretty cool.
All
They
right.
might need that.
Thank you and the
Because
committee for
oil
working
and
so hard
gas
on
is
that.
going up.
We're very excited. It's good news. All right, handing it over to you for town managers.
I don't have a report because we had a blizzard,
Oh,
and then
we did we?
we had a blizzard, and I would like to recognize not just that was a lot, not just DPW, but also police and fire
Yes.
and 911 because
Yes.
really this was a tough one. We
That's true.
and also Nicole, our lovely parking clerk, we did a lot of ticketing during the last storm. We will continue to do a lot of ticketing. That has been received well by some and maybe not as well by others. And so we do encourage people to please, if we have a snow emergency, move your vehicles so that we do not have to ticket them. It does allow us to get the roads clean and safe, and it's not an easy job when we've got cars parked on the road. So that's kind of a big thing we're doing right now. We're kicking off Master Plan Monday again, and What's Up Wednesday. We bring back What's Up Wednesday?
Probably Warrant Wednesday.
Warrant Wednesday.
I
It's
like
being
it.
rebranded. I love this. Okay, so we are working through those. Warrant article, the day will be coming up before we know it, and we're very excited about town meeting, as we always are. And we have a new assistant town clerk, and his name is William McCarthy. He is not the old fire chief. He's been hearing this nonstop from everybody, but we're gonna keep doing it anyway. The poor guy. So he. Yep. We thought we were on an episode of Punks when we got the application, but it is a brand new assistant town clerk, which we're very excited to welcome. So if you see him down there, please stop by
Other
and
Billy
say hello.
McCarthy's enjoying his retirement.
He is. He's the other Chief McCarthy is having a lovely time. So.
Back to the snow, when we ticket, do we tow it all?
So we did not tow this storm. We
Okay.
will continue. If people do not start to move their cars, we will
Okay.
begin to
I
tow.
think that,
we're-
makes sense,
we are-
because we
yes.
didn't used to ticket, so you gotta
Yes,
give them
we're
some.
walking a fine line here of enforcement, but yes, we will begin to tow. We did put it on at your suggestion, put it on the signboard that we were ticketing, and we did a robocall and went to our social media, and it's a tough thing, but we need those cleared so we can see.
Agreed.
It really
It
makes
narrows
such a
the
big
street so
difference.
much.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
All right, our next meeting date is Monday, March 9th. We'll see you next week, and I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion, a second.
We all-
All those in
We all win.
favor?
Aye.
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 All right.